Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Carlos Balasquide and Linda Armstrong, energy coach extraordinaire, on this Friday, October the 26th, 2018, 4 p.m. New York time for your second daily dose of happy for the day. And we have expanded the team, Linda. We're now a threesome instead of a twosome. I figured after Carlos joined the team on Tuesday, he and Alex King and I are doing the Tuesday afternoon podcast, and I saw how much energy he brought to the show. I figured I got to get him in on another show, and I figured why not Friday when we have to get really jazzed up for the weekend? And you're an energy coach, so I figure the energies have to come together in some amazing ways. So
that's great because I love to do things in threes.
In threes?
Yeah.
Why threes?
I don't know. It's just the way it works.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Very cool.
So, Carlos, meet Linda. Linda, meet Carlos. Hello.
Top of the afternoon to you.
So I figured we'd get started doing this week with, since Linda's an energy coach and Carlos is a very funny guy. He's subtly funny, Linda. You're going to find out he just slips it in there. And you don't even realize you're about ready to laugh, and then all of a sudden he gets it in there, which is pretty cool. But I figured we'd kind of combine the topics together and kind of look at the lighter side of energy. Because truly speaking, energy is supposed to be light anyway. It's not supposed to be heavy, right? So,
energy is light.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I mean, I guess I should say our experience of energy is supposed to be light.
Well, okay.
I've never seen you be such an easy pushover on that.
We are light. That's what we are. We're light living in a body.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's that real high energy of love, enthusiasm, fun, laughter, all of that energy. That's, of course, lighter because we are light without that dark, heavy stuff coming in the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's funny how light can be such a complex topic. It seems like it should be so simple, but we find all kinds of ways to make it complex, which is one reason we have a podcast, which is a good thing. But nevertheless, it is such a simple topic, a simple concept, and yet we're really good at tangling our energies into knots, which you and I have talked about quite a bit over the last few weeks. I mean, hopefully we're going to take another step today in helping people untangle their knots and make their energy as buoyant and as light as possible.
Good.
Sound good? Okay. So, Carlos, you were talking earlier.
Already.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you were talking earlier about how, before we started the podcast, about how you'd been kind of looking into energy. You had friends who'd been introducing it to you and so forth, Reiki and so forth. Talk a little bit about that experience. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, I've actually come into it by accident. Honestly, I think it started with meditation. My dad, I think we talked about this offline, but my dad is in his mid-60s now. I don't want to give away his age too much, but he's retired now, and he's really started getting into meditation recently in the last few years after being retired. I think after we get out of the hamster wheel, and that's another time where really people get enlightened. And they're like, oh wow, like I've been in this wheel for all these years, and there's all this stuff that's out here and really beneficial to me. And so he's constantly sending me stuff from gurus and meditation stuff and guided meditations and those things. And so he really got me more and more into it. And then I started to notice things too, as far as law of attraction is concerned and energy. So, for example, I wanted to move to New York, and New York was a dream of mine for as long as I can remember. And there wasn't a pathway to get there, being from California. And so, I was working hard, and it appeared to me, right? It was like, oh, this job opportunity. And so I was okay, let me go for it. And then you start talking about things like apartment. I think I told, again, Walt this offline, but I had a picture of a living room of an apartment in New York that I wanted, and it was on my laptop screensaver, and I would look at it every day. I would even, and I don't want to admit this, but I was fibbing a lot of times. Like, oh, yeah, this is the place I'll tell you. Oh, this is the place we're going to live here. Oh,
that's how you do it, buddy.
Right. And it was almost a lie so much, that it had to be, because I had to believe it 100% fully. And so, it did happen. I got to New York. I got the position. I got a place, next door to the place that was on the screensaver. And,
Wow.
and even more so, just, the biggest thing from that transition, from that move was, that the roommate that I acquired in that place. And she's a DJ in New York, and she was really big on energy, and we clicked, automatically. It was almost like, and I feel that sometimes energies, they recognize each other. And so that happens, right away. And then in living with her, I had a great year of manifesting, and just the energy and I was putting out a lot of good energy and meeting friends with the same energy. And then now you get into these groups, right? And you have 3, 4, 5 people that are genuine, that have that, and you can feel that energy kind of going through the group. And yeah, I just, through that, like the more good energy I have, the better I feel, and the more approachable I am, the more opportunities come my way. So even when I'm, we all have our bad times, right? It's like, this is not positivity, that nothing ever bad happens, right? We're realistic. But I think that, what I look at, and I get excited when things don't really go my way, you get, you lose a job, you lose a girlfriend, or what have you. What I really do is I get excited because I know that the universe is in motion, right? And there's things that are being cleared out of the way that they weren't for me, right? And so now that allows a lot of room for, those things that I've been calling into my life, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
You totally got it.
Yeah, but it's cool. I think, and the more I learn about energy, and the more I learn about meditation, it's kind of a thing that I've been doing first, and really recognizing the energy, and recognizing I'm very self-aware and aware of my surroundings. And so it's like, I would recognize these things, and then I would learn about them after, and somebody would tell me, oh, this energy, oh, I do Reiki, or I do this and this. And that's how I started, starting to put these pieces together about all these things being connected, even sometimes like your breath, how it's connected to your body. Sometimes you feel ailments, and sometimes you just really need to breathe air into that, to that muscle, or to that, organ, or what have you. And that you can do through meditation also. And it's like,
I love this guy.
yeah. I'm so excited because it's just like all these things, again, it's these little things that I've uncovered, and I continue to uncover, and they're changing my life, all for the better. And so, I'm really excited to share these things too,
I think it's fun because what you described, about when you get a group together, 3, 4, or 5 different people, that's how I feel about the podcast. When I first started the podcast with my wife, we did it because we wanted to kind of explore the whole topic and get to know it. And there was a lot I still needed to learn and so forth. And then over time, I really, especially over the last year, I got really excited about bringing more and more people in, because I felt like I wanted to have more people in my life who were into this stuff. And I just didn't have that many. And so we were reaching out locally. We were meeting more people in the local area. In fact, one of them is now, 2 of them actually are now co-hosts here on the podcast. Anne Marie is relatively local. She lives just 20 miles down the road from me. And,
nice.
Really good. She and Mike are really good friends of Louise's and mine. And also all the people that I've been meeting online who are now part of the team and who have been contributing, and people who used to be here who have moved on to other projects. But so many people who came in with a similar kind of mindset and a similar kind of excitement about how energy works and how the law of attraction works and how deliberate creation works. You get that many people involved, and it just builds you up. That's what I'm finding. It builds me up in a big way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I brought somebody like Linda in, who has like the most amazing. Her perspective is really more. I don't know what the adjective is. It's more different than anything else I've ever had from any of the other co-hosts. I mean, she has this really remarkable energetic sense about her. I mean, you'll find it out pretty quickly, but.
Yeah, no, I knew that Linda was just about to say something, so I'm just going to sneak this in real quick. But, I think that hits to a point that's the point of the group is to help each other out, right? We're a social being. And so I think that a lot of times, especially with the roommate I was talking about, there'll be times where, especially in a industry like, such as she's self-employed. She got to find her own stuff. And in a city like New York,
Oh yeah.
It's crazy, right? And so she would be going through times in it, but I think that having me there allowed her to get that extra perspective. It's like, oh, this thing didn't happen for me. I said, that wasn't for you. You know what I mean? The reason you didn't get it, isn't because anything personal against you. It's because your opportunity is going to be over here, and that would conflict with that. And so really don't even worry about that. And so I just think that, and she would always be, oh man, Carlos, you're so positive, and just looking at it from different perspectives and vice versa, and when I'm going through some, and it's funny because I'm usually the one with that, and she would come at me and say, hey, Carlos, what are you worried about that for? You're fine. And she would kind of reinforce, and it's like, you need those, advocates and supporters in your life to keep that energy as high as good as on the good spectrum, because we all fall and dip down. But the more people we have around us with good energy, the more possibility that we have more of that good energy pulling us back up.
I don't know what I was going to say before. Doesn't matter. But I know what I was going to say. So, like, we're born with this. I mean, this is our true nature. Like the stuff you're talking about now that you sort of uncovered for yourself. It's just part of us. But as we grow older, other things outside of us start dictating to us what maybe the world is like. So you start looking outside rather than inside. So you kind of have it, and you're like, you kind of know it, and then it shows up, and it's there all the time anyway. It's just that your awareness is just expanding more into allowing more of that in. And for you, a lot of it, I think, is just confirmation for you, what you already know. And that's great, because then that empowers you to be able to tell more people about it and share. Cause like I can feel the enthusiasm coming out of you as you talk about these things. And for you, it's just part of life. You just already know it innately. It's what it feels like, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Taking courses and you studied this, but we all awaken in whatever way we do. And we want to stay in that high vibe. But you know what? We got to appreciate those dips, because there's always something to learn in that. I like the way you told your friend how it just wasn't the right time, because it's like divine timing. Things happen in the best way for you. And when you can keep that focus on what you want, and just trust it, then you can handle those lows a little bit better. And yeah, it sure is nice when you have other people around you that can help prop you up a little bit more. And one of my favorite things to do is to hook in or watch a show or do something that's funny. Which is what you do, right? And so that brings the energy up automatically. And I'm sure you don't feel like the funny guy all the time, every day, because, you got your own lessons to learn in life too, right? But you can probably, because it's part of the work you do, just bring yourself there. Like I can bring my vibe up to doing work on a session with someone, even if I wasn't having my own good day earlier that day, but I can get into that vibration and be there for the people I work with, because it's all energy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, you hit the nail on the head there as far as, the learning. Yeah, I kind of skipped over that, but that's a huge part of it. It's because, and I tell people this a lot too. It's, talk about somebody like my roommate, she's a DJ and she's working towards something, right? She's working towards a successful, career on the next level, right? And there's always levels, and there's always going to be more successful. But, what I would always say, and it's something that I really realize in turmoil, is that, let me give an example. So, somebody that wins the lottery, a lot of times those people blow all the money, right? And it's because they didn't have to go through the struggles and learn the lessons and go broke and come back and go to bed and to earn that money. That makes sense? So just like, we all want, I want to be a successful comedian with 100 million, followers, and she wants to be, top DJ in New York and all these things. But there's lessons that we got to learn now that will allow us to be successful in those later times. So patience and humility, those kind of things that, turmoil kind of really brings us through and allows us to learn those lessons, so that later, when we think it's tough now, but think about it, when something comes out in the news and, everybody hates you, and how are you going to deal with that? How are you going to go through that when you never had any adversity? Like that would kill a person, right? That kind of, abrupt, adversity. So I think that a lot of times, you have to look at those times of trouble or even things that didn't work out as those stepping stones in learning,
But, something to add to that, like people who win the millions and then lose it all, because they were not vibrating to the wealth.
Right.
Because if you're not a match to it, it can't stay with you. So like you need to be thinking about your hundreds of thousands of followers and appreciating every one of them because they're out there. They might not be in your right now, right this minute experience, but they're out there.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, that's pretty much what I try to do with the podcast. I'm often just kind of visualizing and being in the place of, I now have 10,000 people listening to every episode. Now, the actual numbers say it's about 200 to 250, but I try to get to that headspace of, I have 10,000. And like you said, Lynn, I'm trying to visualize not just, each one of those listeners and loving each one of those listeners, but also I've been thinking about it from the perspective that Cindy Chavez and I have been talking about lately, about the, what's his name? Neville Goddard, saying that you want to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So I've been imagining a little vignette of like telling each one of you guys, hey, we made it to 10,000 listeners. And each one of you saying, yeah, we made it to 10,000. And I'm playing that tape in my mind. So that's my way of kind of imagining getting there.
House.
What's that?
I'm growing a YouTube channel. I walk around my house. Right now I have 320 subscribers. I'm like, 320,000. I walk around the house. I'm telling my husband, I'm telling my son, we're looking for 321,000 tomorrow, like always connecting to that. And I've proven it. My black belt story. I've proven it where I've lived in my mind the energy of what it is I want and have it come.
Why don't you retell that story? Because Carlos doesn't know it. So tell the story again, the black belt story.
Okay.
In condensed form,
Condensed form. That's always hard for me.
Well, then don't condense it. Tell the whole story then. I don't care.
No, condense it. So I do karate. I have a karate school. My husband's my instructor. That's how I met him in the first place. And this is years ago. I was a first degree black belt. And he says to me, the chief instructor of the United States, he wants you to go for your second degree black belt. But I don't know if you're ready yet. So the test was in like 2 months away. And he's like, if you can learn these few katas, which are like forms, imaginary fights, that you have choreographed. If you can learn these before then, and if I think that you're looking good enough, I'll put you up. So in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm freaking good enough.
Yeah.
And so I set it up in my mind that, you know what? I'm a third degree. Whatever that feels like. I don't know what that feels like. I was first degree, but I made up this persona of being the third degree, and I carried myself as the third degree. No matter what I did it as a third degree. So I would do physical training on the mat. I learned the katas I had to learn. It gets closer to the test. My husband says, okay, I'll put you up for the promotion. I'm like, all right, I'm ready, man. I'm third degree. I wouldn't even, he knew my story because he knows what I do with energy and all that. So he knew what I was working on. But I could be online at a store and I'm like in my head, I'm fighting and I'm like perfect. I'm seeing every opportunity. I'm scoring every point. I'm doing the katas in my mind, beautiful form. I'm hitting the pad, knocking these big, huge guys over. Like I'm like really in my mind creating this like superpower woman that is this third degree, right? So it comes time for that test. He tells me I can go for it. There's 2 days of like 4 hours a day training, building up to a 2-day weekend. It was an international training session where people all around the world came. 4 cheap instructors. And so we had the 2 days prior. Then we had 2 days of the training, 4 hours a day, because each instructor does an hour each day. And by the end of that, and we're in a hotel. And the floors are very hard. Normally we're on the nice padded floors.
The mat, right.
So by the time we take the test at the end of all these 4 days, I am like done, totally. But we have to do the test. So you have to hit as hard as you can hit. You got to do the katas the best you can. We didn't have to fight, but they've been watching us for 4 days anyway. So we do the whole thing. and we're all lined up, and I'm standing there, and I feel my legs like wobbling, like I can't even hold my body up anymore. I'm so fatigued. And these 4 chief instructors start having a conversation for 20 minutes. And I'm looking around at the other people who are testing, because they're going through the same thing. I see their legs shaking. I'm like, we're all going to drop. What the heck are these guys talking about? Well, I know them because my husband's very high ranking. He's 70. Right. He's been around with these guys for 40 years. And I'm thinking they're talking about where they're going for dinner. They're talking about golf game tomorrow. I'm like, no, they're like having conversations, because I kind of know that they could do that, right?
Right.
So finally, they start awarding the belts. I get my 2nd degree black belt. Tested over. Everybody's leaving. All 4 of them came up to me separately and said, do you want to know why we were talking for 20 minutes?
They were thinking about giving you the 3rd degree?
Yep. We wanted to move you to 3rd degree.
Yeah.
Because you are 3rd degree. But we really can't set a precedent for jumping black belts.
All right.
So you're invited to come back next year, because normally it's a 3-year minimum. It could take longer, but you have to put in at least another 3 years to go for 3rd dan, 4 years for 4th dan. You got to put in your time. Mm-hmm. So they let me come back the next year, and I got the 3rd degree. But all 4 of them, independently of each other, came to me and told me exactly what I already knew.
Right.
Because I put the energy out that I am 3rd degree. I was already living it, even though it wasn't my reality. My intention was to get a 2nd degree. And that's exactly what happened.
That's amazing.
So it's really powerful. I mean, it really is. Your thoughts do create everything, but it's the energy behind it. It's not just the words. The words matter, but you got to feel it. So you got to attach a feeling to whatever the desire is. So if for you, maybe you know what it feels like to be in front of an audience. And whether there's 20 people or 2,000 people, I'm sure you feel the same excitement, right?
Yeah, it's really not about the people at the end of the day. Right. No, yeah, but the feeling, right. I get it.
Oh, yeah. So, we lost him.
He fell over.
But no, yeah, I agree. Life is definitely a feeling process.
It's like to have that many people admire the work that you do, and to know that you're bringing joy to people, right? You're
right.
Them. So knowing that you're affecting all these people in a way that makes them feel better today, no matter what's going on in their life, you're holding that energy, and you could just make it expand however you want, but you put it there.
Well, that's my purpose. So like, I think that at the end of the day, what really, got me to, and I guess, we'll unpack, I guess our separate, histories, as, we continue as co-hosts together, but I quit my corporate job at Amazon, to do this. And, ultimately it was just I needed to simplify my purpose. And I think that I had heard a lot about that for a long time. It's like, man, do you know what your purpose is? And the thing is, and this is almost a detriment. And I don't want to say this in an arrogant way, but it's just, I hadn't had that much, adversity when it comes to career. I had really gotten and been successful at, even through jobs throughout, college. I was a manager of a hair salon. I sold phones. It didn't matter where I was being successful, but so that made it difficult really to find a purpose. Like, well, when you could do everything pretty decently. Like, what is it that you want to do? And so ultimately, when I really simplified it down, it was I want to enrich the life of every person I come in contact with, right? Make their life should be better in any way after having met me or having interacted with me. And so I thought, to your point, stand up gives me the biggest or one of the biggest platforms to do that. But I do that at home, around the kitchen table. I do that and so, but yeah, I think that, so I actually had a question for you, Linda. Like I said, I've had similar experiences in manifesting great things from career to, relationships to, even material things that I really wanted. But so your story, you're in karate and you've been doing karate for a while. I'm assuming you're going for your 2nd degree black belt. Do you feel well, I guess my question is, how do you have that same effect when what you want isn't in your wheelhouse of reality? So, for instance,
you have to make that reality. What do
no,
you think it would feel like?
so this is, well, I guess my question really is that you had been doing karate.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So for you to have manifested that, like, you already know what it's going to feel like in front of judges, what it's going to feel like with, fighting other people, what it's going to feel when you're doing a lot of that, I feel like, has a lot to do with it. You're making that visual, you're making that feeling even more real. So what I've been struggling with is, because, comedy as a career has never been a real thing. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, in my structure, the way that I grew up and the world around me, really, it was college, you do your 9 to 5, then you do, and so, although I've had some success in manifesting things, in this new reality, I feel like I don't have the context or the strongholds.
That's just a belief.
Yeah.
Just a belief that you can get rid of that. So the thing is, you know what you want to feel as you're doing this thing. That's the thing that's going to guide you the most. So maybe you want to attach to people, because although I did karate, I don't know what it's like to have the wisdom of those guys in the higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
I pretended to know. I made up my own feeling of what I think that is.
Right.
I have no reality on what that is. I know what it was like to be a first degree. I know what it's like to hit a pad. I know what it's like to do this and that. But I don't know what it's like to be at that level because I'm not there. So I made up what I felt like, and it's nothing I can put into words, what I felt like that would be. And so I carried myself as that.
I got you.
So you could maybe look to your favorite comedians and feel what you think it is, that the energy that encompasses that, and just be that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I'm focusing too much on the.
Don't think about your own experience. Think about where you're going.
Right.
You have to know in some way in those dreams that you must dream up these scenarios where you're doing the thing that you love and seeing the people respond and having this following grow to where people start to know you or whatever it is. Like, you can probably build a story in your mind, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But you want to attach the feeling to it, to that story, to what is it like to live that story? What's it like to be whichever comedian you love, whether it's they use their body or whether it's just their words or their dry humor, whatever it is, there's all different ways, right?
Right.
And
so
there's also some other good news too.
For you. Yes, an example. You can attach to whatever you think that feels like to do it on that level.
Right.
And just make up your own thing of what you think that is.
Yeah. No, it's funny though, because do you ever feel like this where you're very successful manifesting one thing, but you're really blocking something else? It's just like you just, for some reason, it's like, man, I want to believe. And it's just like, I don't know what it is. That's kind of, I'm just like stuck in this knot, you know?
Every time you see that, tell it, okay, I see you. You're the guy who didn't do it yet, who can do this so easy before. But you know what? I can do the same, because it doesn't matter what the thing is that you're doing. It's the energy you hold about doing it that matters. Okay. So if the energy is, this is harder, I've never done anything like this before, there's so many people doing it, like that energy you can feel in the words, it starts to pull you down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But if you can get into that kid mind, who anything's possible, right? I mean, what do kids want to be? They're just it. They're the fire president.
I want to be a dinosaur.
My son was going to make a half plane, half dinosaur, like half mechanical and half dinosaur. He knew in his mind he can build it, like his no question in his mind. And I always look at that like, cool. You get things done. Right?
Yeah.
Believing that it can. All that other stuff is like the stories that play in the subconscious mind, like, oh, it's so hard. So say it's being a comedian. It's so hard to do that, because first of all, you're not going to please everybody. There's billions.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You don't have to please everybody.
Right.
The more you hold your energy, and I think it's easy for you, easier than you know, to just be you, people are going to be drawn just to that.
Yeah.
So you start to let that light, and so you use your creativity to express it through your I'm going to the throat because that's throat chakra.
Right.
Expression and creativity. Yeah. In your way.
Okay.
And
Yeah, no, I was curious. Yeah, I was just curious on your perspective on that because it's almost frustrating, you know, and you're really, it's like, man, this I manifested so easily. It's almost how did this happen so fast? And then, you know, other things take, you know, I mean, New York took 20 years of manifested, you know.
You got exactly what you asked for too, though, didn't you?
Yeah, no, that's true. So I think what you talked about, earlier as far as divine timing, also has a big, you know, play in that too.
Yeah.
One thing
that's the hardest. I'm sorry, Walt. I'm not kidding. No,
that's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right. No problem.
The part is just trusting and allowing it to unfold because we always want to I get caught up in this all the time. Sometimes I'm working so hard, I'm building a new product or doing something, and before I even realize my energy is kind of heavy about it, instead of being from that, everything I do works through the energy of love, this high vibration. But when I can catch myself, I'm not in that energy while I'm creating something, well, that thing's not going to go anywhere because it's not being made from the right energy. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to take longer. It's going to take 5 months instead of 5 days.
Right.
So you just want to be aware of the energy you're holding. And when you feel like it's getting denser, not so bright and light, we're talking about the light side of energy, you want to flip it. So you go watch some other comedian. Let them flip you out of it, you know, or whatever, work out. You do something, you know, anything that can flip your vibration. But a lot of times it's just noticing, oh, wait a minute, where am I right now? Feeling a little bit heavy about timing. This isn't happening fast enough. So when we focus on this isn't happening fast enough, what do we get?
More of it not happening fast enough.
Right. And that's the key part. So it's just awareness. So being aware of your energy. And if your energy matches the words that you're putting out. So if you're saying, yeah, I'm a highly successful comedian, by whatever, if you're putting a time to it, but you're feeling like it can never happen. How is that going to happen in 2 months? That's ridiculous. You know?
Yeah.
Then, okay, let's make it 4 months instead of feeling like it's going to be 5 years. You know what I mean? It's just monitoring the way you feel about it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a good little trick that I've been practicing using lately, because I know what you mean, Carlos, about how you're trying to envision this one thing and you've never experienced it before, and you're just lost. You don't really know where do you start when it comes to imagining this thing.
Right.
And there are going to be times when you can actually do it, but there are going to be other times where you're just kind of stuck, right? So on those times when I'm stuck, what I have been trying to redirect my attention to is take my mind off of trying to imagine that thing. Right now, it's more struggle than it's worth to focus on that. So I shift over instead to something that anyone can identify with. Like if you achieve whatever X is, you're going to get excited about it. And you're going to tell your friends and they're going to be excited about it. Well, you can envision that. That's pretty easy to envision. So switch over to something like that for a bit. Get yourself excited doing that part. And if you can stay with that for quite some time and really build yourself up, the next time you look at that thing that seems so difficult to imagine, you're going to find more ideas coming to you about how to imagine it.
Yeah, that's a funny, not funny, but I thought of a scenario. Before I go into job interviews or auditions or anything, I go into the bathroom and I just put my hands in the air and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I won. And I say I won. I actually use those words, you know, oh my good, I won. I'm a winner. I can't believe this happened. You know, this shouldn't have happened, but it did anyways. And all these things that I overcame. And I just really get pumped up and in that energy. And, I have to say, I mean, I don't know. I have to give myself some credit also. I mean, I'm sure that I'm pretty good at interviewing, but yeah, I mean, I think that's important to, like, I think that goes to your point. It's like, what's the not what is it, but what's the feeling that I'm going to get from this outcome? And, you know, focusing on that,
Yeah,
I've done it, but it's funny that until you said that I hadn't really
I
thought of
imagine
it.
when you went into those interviews too, after you built yourself up in the bathroom like that, you were probably feeling pretty good walking into that interview. You
Oh
probably
yeah,
had a
yeah,
high level of confidence, and in that high level of confidence, the answers came out easy. You didn't have to fight
right.
for them; they just came.
Yeah, it's almost that I call it that. It's almost like a ditty feeling. You know, it's like I'm the king of the world almost kind of feeling. But yeah, no, that's a good point. Well,
Okay, I just had to do a search. There's a woman named Amy Cuddy. Maybe you've seen it. She does a
Cuddy.
clip. The body language may shape who you are. She talks about that same thing. Going in the bathroom, you're about to go to this meeting, and start just even putting your hands up like that.
Yeah, and the winner's pose. Mm-hmm.
And changes your whole thing. She did a whole, I think, TED talk on that, and it's exactly what you were just saying.
And again, so my dad turned to meditation late in life, but he's always been very self-aware and always been very into improving himself and just learning and those kind of things. And he at 12 years old, he gave me these, Tony Robbins tapes. They were cassette tapes. They were, something about, it's like The Power Within, I think. It was one of the series, right? At 12 years old, and he had me listen to them. But you know what? I have to tell you that there's a lot of good stuff in there, and something that I took, and I'll never ever forget. And it's the reason I started doing, that in the bathroom or anytime I need really that confidence. That's, the approach that I take is, he said that, motion creates emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very key. Of the good phrase. It's red rhymes, so it's easy
right.
to remember.
It's easy to remember, yeah.
But it's true. It's like, man, you try putting a huge cheesy smile on your face and feel depressed. I dare you. Try.
No, I know.
Oh.
You're right. Absolutely.
It's not possible, because it's you're sending physiological signals to your brain. Where, again, this is all connected, right? And so, yeah, and that's a lot of times, I struggle with some depression every once in a while, and really the way I get out of that is in that way. I smile, I listen to music that makes me feel good. Again, putting your hands in the air and doing all that, and
don't care.
yeah, and dance. I mean, Walt. I know Walt loves to dance. It's, he shared with me that's how he met his wife, or through a dance thing.
Right.
It's funny that not to back into that topic, but you mentioned that Linda, in karate, that's how you met your husband. He's your instructor, right? Yeah. We just kind of had this discussion about doing the things you love to
That's
do,
right.
and then that's how you find the people that you'll ultimately love or foster those relationships with. So that's interesting that proof to the pudding. Again here.
I'll prove it a little bit deeper. Walt knows the story, but I used to say when I was younger, the guy I'm going to marry is walking this planet somewhere. He could be on the other side of the world, or he could walk right past me. Well, when I took my now husband home to meet my family the first time, he grew up in Rhodesia in Africa. But he grew up in Africa. He was born there. So he was living on the other side of the world. And the karate school that I joined, blocks away from my house, he would walk his instructor's dog past my house.
Oh, wow.
I passed him because my sister said, isn't that the guy who walks the dog past the house? I'm like, oh yeah. And I can't tell you.
Man, that's so funny.
Quite a few times I would think, I could probably have a conversation with, like in between boyfriends, I could probably have a conversation with that guy, but I never did it. And
yeah.
When I started karate, boom, there he was. So the things, like I had no resistance to that, right? That was like, that felt real to me. Definitely the guy's on the planet somewhere, right?
Yeah.
He could be across the way. He could be in front. Like that was like believable. And that's exactly then what happened. Cause the thing is the resistance is what gets in the way, those programs.
Right.
Regarding, I was going to say that, like, even with what I do now, it didn't start out that way. I was just doing law of attraction coaching. Mm-hmm. Of course, I was doing karate, and that's a whole big story into this other thing. But even with that journey, it's changed along the way. Like online coaching a lot to begin with, and then I felt like I needed to just work with people locally, and I would do these meditation groups, and that was really successful. But then that kind of started dwindling. And I started being pushed to this area of energy healing. It just all kind of went on its own the way it happened. And so then that dwindled. So that meditation business part of what I did, that income was going down and down. And I'm like, what's going on? I guess spirit doesn't want me to do that anymore. Right. So it's like you kind of, if you can get in the alignment with the fact that whatever you want to call that energy out there, for me, it's God, guides, and angels.
Right.
There, I was following the cues. I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to go that way. Then I'm supposed to go this way. And I'll put my attention there. And now, as Walt knows, because I gave him a session, I kind of blend a bunch of the stuff I do. And so now I'm getting busier with the work that I do because I finally kind of, maybe the timing's right, divine timing, where I put it together, at least for now, in a way that must be needed more.
Right.
Yeah, I might have done it before. So things change, and sometimes you just got to go with the flow of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, ultimately what you want. Like for me, when I'm giving sessions, I'm high off the energy.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing better than that. And because I know that it's coming through me and it's going into them and it's going to make a difference in their life in some way.
And as someone who experienced that session, I know what that high feels like because as you're getting high, I'm feeling it too. I felt the exact same thing. I mean, the energy level just rose during that session when you were doing that with me. Really something.
Yeah, no.
That makes me,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Linda. I think that it becomes smooth, not easy by any means, but there's less friction. Does that make sense? So yeah, so when you talk about something like that, I've had a similar experience where it's I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but I was really struggling just in life in general, in a lot of different, avenues and areas. And, I had gone through a breakup and that was just part of one of the things, lost a job. And I was just, man, what am I doing? I feel like, I'm so lost. But then when I finally just got out of my own way, you know what I mean? Like sometimes the universe is trying to give you something or send you in a direction and you're fighting so hard to force what was really in your intention, that you miss out, and so I think that is a big lesson. And again, that's where I took the lesson of when things are, going negatively, it's really time to open your eyes because that's the universe. There's opportunities there. And I think that dwindling and staying and again, everybody has, the right to have emotions, be sad, be angry, be upset. But when we linger in that so long, I feel like we completely lose that, So to your point, things just started kind of nudging you in the right direction. Oh, this is kind of not working anymore. It's not that it didn't work, but it's just right now. It's like I kind of got to the course and it's time for me to move on. And I feel that now, which is good. And I think that that's something that I've been really gifted with is the awareness of a lot of times people see the manifesting in hindsight. They're like, oh man. And if I didn't do this, then I didn't. But me, I see it real time, like as it's happening. Oh, this is going badly for me. Well, that's because, and I can kind of break it down. Okay. I can see, well, then, yeah.
That's a gift. I like you called it friction. I call it resistance.
Right.
It's just the stuff that's in the way.
Right.
And there's something to be learned in it. So if we can look at like, okay, what am I supposed to be learning from this crap, this awful thing that's going on? Even like the really bad stuff. 5 years later, you look back, just like you said, and you're like, that was the best thing ever happened to me.
Right.
But so
it's true.
So when you can see it, like you're saying, you'll look for it now. Okay, what is it? That makes the whole thing a lot smoother because you are opening your awareness to kind of like trusting, like, okay, there's a purpose for this. Doesn't feel good, but there's a purpose for this.
Right.
So where would this be taking me? What direction am I supposed to move towards?
Yeah, I think it gets easier too if you look back at your life. I feel like a lot of people don't really kind of take that inventory of what's happened in the last, people get so down. And speaking of, light energy, the biggest way that I get light energy is I think about where I am. It's like, a year ago, where was I? And even though as bad as it's like, man, there's a lot of things that I've grown and And that all happened in a year. And so it's like, man, when you start thinking like negatively, or you're like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna, don't worry about it so much. Things are gonna kind of fall into.
You're talking about gratitude.
Gratitude, absolutely.
You can always be grateful for being alive.
Yes.
I mean, there's always something to be grateful for. I mean, that's a gift, right? Maybe we can be grateful for some of these problems that are occurring, because we know if you can open your mind to, it's taken me somewhere else. I mean, I said that my husband was on the other side of the world, and that's the whole thing. I was supposed to marry somebody else years before that. He wound up cheating on me. We broke up. It felt like a horrible thing. But you know what? It was the best thing that could have happened to me, because the guy I'm married to now is my forever guy. It's like, yeah.
My dad would say, when things like that happen, he's like, oh, you got out cheap. He said, how many years were you guys in all? You got out cheap. You could have found out 15 years later. But no, yeah, absolutely. I think that's great.
You got to follow your heart. You got to find, if you can feel that connection to what is for your highest good. Like, I know people who have had huge successful careers, say maybe in finance or something, and just walk away from it. They're just tired of the stress of that life and go into school in the elementary school, like something totally different. And they're so happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm going through right now. I definitely took a pay cut. Definitely. But you find out what matters, right? I think that's what ultimately makes that choice for you. I think at some point, it's not really up to you. It's just something you have to. It's like, man, I feel this way. I feel this. I can't shake this feeling, Yeah. And, but yeah, I mean, when you start to realize what's important, to me, it was like, the first thought was, as soon as I get out of college, the first person to pay me a lot of money, I'll be happy, right? I can do all the things I can buy, all the things I can do. But then you realize you get the money and you're like, oh wait, this work is mind numbing. Like, I can't, I don't feel fulfilled here. Right. And then you kind of move in. I did that until you finally find your fulfillment. And I think for a lot of people, fulfillment isn't monetarily based. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I've read this somewhere, but and we talk about Maslow and there's, money as a motivator really is only, until you feel comfortable, right? If you feel like you can eat, you have a place over your head, like those things, then you start to kind of find out, well, what else is there? Well, what do I have to contribute? And I think that we all come to those realizations. Some people don't, or some people like my dad, like you said, you just get stuck in this structure. And then not until something happens in life, for him, it was retirement. And it's like, wow, now it's a huge opening to enlighten me, because it's like, there's nothing we have to do at this now. You know what I mean? And I think that's another realization. It's like, hey, as an adult, I have to go to college and I have to go to this job and I have to do this. I have to work here for 30 years. We don't have to do any of those things. Like, we
never have to. That's letting the outside dictate what's in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you awaken to more of who you are, then you can let that true passion come out. And maybe you're going to make a huge shift. But I think that as far as the money goes, as long as you're giving value and you're uplifting people, that's going to come.
Right. And that's what I believe. I said that too, is like a lot of times, I'm not worried about when you have, and this is probably a privileged, kind of view to come from, but when you've had, money, you don't, it's fleeting. It comes and goes. And so, when you talk about your passion, I feel like, well, this is what I've always felt is that, if you are really passionate about what you do, the money is inevitable, because you're going to be so successful at that, and success, again, without the money, I'm talking about this in being good at what you do. You know what I mean? Like, you see the people that are just great at what they do, or examples of, I like The Rock, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever come out of, wrestling or WWE professional wrestling to do really much. It's kind of, you got paid while you were there, And he took that and created something out of that. And again, just being himself, and he found his true self.
Right. And don't you just love him? Like, he exudes that energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No matter what role he's playing. And,
Hey, I want to get a couple things in here. While we've been talking, first of all, we are live streaming the podcast to the Law of Attraction Change My Life group. And there are a couple of people who have posted some comments. I just wanted to share some of the comments. Sally at one point posted, "This is amazing, just what I need to hear. Thank you." She's got her hands together like that. And
so glad.
Holly was saying, "Super great video talk. I need to put this into practice, but I seem to struggle with it." You guys talked about that beautifully, about how to deal with the struggle of it. And then Sayura made a couple comments saying, actually referring to very early on in the conversation, "Wow, you attracted her." So you had a few people here who are chiming in saying, "Yeah, we're with you. We like what you're talking about." And I want you guys to know about that. I also want to make sure we get a couple of quick messages in before the time runs out here, before we turn into pumpkins again. But first of all, if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, please become one. The instructions on how to do so are on the homepage at loatoday.net. And please do subscribe and share the fact that you're subscribing and listening, because we want to reach more and more people. Besides, you got to help me get to my goal. I want to have my 10,000 listeners. You're the ones who are going to help me do that, all right? So, no, seriously.
Got it, Walt.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's already here. So you're the ones who are going to help make it possible. But seriously, please put it out there, because we really do want to have more and more people getting their daily dose of happy. And I'm going to let you guys give the final word, because this has been great. I've been sitting back and just listening to you guys go. It's like, whoa, did I put a team together or what? This is great. But first, Carlos, I want to give you a last word, and then I'm going to give Linda the last word. What's the big takeaway on the light side of energy? What's your biggest takeaway when you think about the lightness of energy?
I don't feel that a lot of people have the tools or the resources to kind of get out of the dark energy back into the light. And so I think that, covering some of the stuff that we did today, emotion creates emotion, or emotion creates emotion, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, those things are super important, because the longer you can stay in those good vibrations, it's momentum, it's towards what you want to manifest. And so, just continue to listen. Tell your best friend. Yeah, if you really like the podcast, tell your best friend. Whoever your best friend is, text them a link and tell them, you got to listen to this and try to get to our subscriber goal. Only if you really, really like listening. If not, that's okay. But if you really like listening, make sure you tell your best friend. All right.
Well, that's very good. That's specific. I mean, it's actually, if you're asked to, can you give me a referral? Can you tell me somebody who might be interested? That's too vague. But you say, tell your best friend. Now it's very specific. One person.
Well, your best friend's going to trust you, right? If you tell them to try anything, they'll probably try it.
Will.
And and again, if you like it, if you think it's helpful, if you think it's beneficial, why wouldn't you want your best friend to have some? You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's why you're best friends, because you're sharing stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's big. So Linda, tie it all together for us. What's
the last comment on the light side of energy? Is that what it was? Just come from your heart, right? That energy of love that, you always check in with yourself. Well, what would my heart do? Or what does my heart feel? That usually can guide you somewhere. And, really just to stay, I just released 7 days worth of videos on 7 tips in a row on how to flip your vibe to a high vibe living, no matter what's going on around you. So you can find that on my YouTube channel. Just search Linda Armstrong, Energy Healer. You'll find it. But you can, it's just when you hear people say lighten up, yeah, lighten up. Just relax, just breathe. You mentioned it in the very beginning. Breathing is key. You can always bring yourself back to your heart just with your breath, because your mind will take you all these places, and then it's like the schizophrenia starts happening all around. So you want to always return back to that heart, right? And keep it light. Light is love. Light is what you are actually really made of. This is just a nice package.
That's a good way to put it. That's good. Also, I realized we kind of were negligent on something, but Carlos, you shared something before the show, which was some great news. You have a new agent. You have somebody new representing you. I mean, God, we got to be shouting that to the rooftops. That's fantastic. Congratulations on that. That's got to feel
thanks.
good.
We're trying to make strides here, over here in California. So again, manifesting, and you want to hear a funny story about that real quick before we just take off real short?
No, that's all right.
This is, I was taking class at the Groundlings, the improv theater, and I had a picture of the group. I hadn't posted it. I just had it in my phone. And I said, you know what? I'm really going to post this. And it was a time where I was like thinking about what I'm going to do next as far as like opportunities and setting things up for the future. So I posted it, and I got a Facebook message from a high school friend of mine. I hadn't talked to her in 10 years probably. But yeah, she let me know that she was working at an agency, and would I, like to come in and have a chat, and there it goes. I mean, it happens when it's supposed to happen, as it's supposed to happen. So
it's fun when it happens that way, when it comes out of the blue. That's a blast. I mean, because it's so unpredictable, and you almost have to think back and say, oh, wow, that was out of the blue. Where did that come from? How did I do that? Did I manifest that? When did I ask for that? I don't even remember anymore. But that's the way it seems sometimes. Just kind of, poof, there it is. Bang.
Yeah. And just be super grateful for it.
Absolutely.
You never know when the opportunities are going to come. So when they do, just be humbled by them and take them, so.
And I also want to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Linda.
I wanted to see if Carlos has a YouTube channel or a website.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. Where can people find out more about you, Carlos?
Yeah. So, on Instagram, it's probably my heaviest, place where I share everything. And that's Puerto Rican Papi Official. And those are underscores. Yep. Puerto Rican Papi Official, underscores in between each word. I'm creating a YouTube channel. I'm also creating an Instagram live show. There's a lot of stuff in the works. Good. So, as these little projects start to drop, we'll definitely share them. And,
Okay, great.
Good stuff. And Linda, I mean, we did do a session. We actually did a show about it afterward, and it was a great session. Carlos has gotten a good sense of what you're like as an energy coach, but there might be somebody out there listening who also needs a little assistance. Maybe somebody like Harley was saying, I struggle to get there sometimes. If somebody is like that, how do they reach you? I mean, they can find your YouTube channel, but how do they reach you?
lovemylife.coach.
Oh, well, that's simple enough.
Lovemylife.coach. That's my website.
Okay.
Anything you need to know is there. Or Linda@lovemylife.coach. Just email me. You went dead for me for some reason for a couple of sentences there, but I got it.
Okay. Well, now I got to check all the channels and see what's going on here. I don't know.
Said my internet connection is unstable, but I'm on Ethernet, so I don't know why.
Well, all I can say is thank you for having high energy, because your high energy reconnected everything, and that's just a wonderful thing.
Great.
Oh, yes. One final reminder, too. If you're not yet a subscriber, become a subscriber and share it. Really, I mean, we were making jokes about that, but please do share it, because that sharing is making all of the difference in the world. We're doing our best to reach out. In fact, you're going to be seeing stuff. If you're listening in the group right now, in the Facebook group where we're live streaming to, the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group, we're doing this on a regular basis, but we're also going to start posting events. So you're going to know that for maybe next Friday, we haven't figured this out yet, but let's say next Friday we decide we're going to do a complete Q&A from people in the group on energy. I'm making that up, but let's say we're going to do something like that. We will post that as an event in the group. So pay attention if you are a member of the group, and there are about 90,000 of them, so there's quite a few people in that group. If you're a member of the group, please, just pay attention. You'll see when they're coming, and then sign up, and we'll be glad to answer all your questions about whatever the topic is for that day.
Can I just add?
Yeah.
They can always ask us questions.
Oh, yeah.
Get involved with the show while we're on. We want to connect with all of them.
Absolutely true. Yeah. You don't have to wait for a special event. Yeah. You put it in the comment for any of these shows. I'm reading the comments. I'm always watching to see if there's something coming through that we need to talk about. So by all means. So guys, it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to talking to you guys a week from now.
All right. Bye. Nice meeting you, Carlin.
Nice meeting you as well.
And we'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
There you go, Walt.